Triple Feature.
.blogspot.com.
Here, things are terrible here. You have no idea how bad they really are. Detective Burke! Detective Burke! Detective Burke!
Oh, how I'll see you in my dream.
All right, welcome to this edition of Midnight Triple Feature. I'm Mike. Adam's here.
Yep. So we're going to start with Villanelle. It's directed by Rick Laprade or Laprade. So we could be saying that wrong, but whatever. If I knew how to say it, I would. I'm just going to give both pronunciations.
Yeah, we'll be corrected on this.
So, plot synopsis is Detective Burke is relocated to a small Rhode Island town following a questionable death in a major case involving a serial killer. The town has little going on, with calls ranging from loitering kids to missing boats. In order to deal with his own demons and personal fall from grace, he takes to the bottle, drinking regularly just to get through the day. One night, while drunk in his office, a woman comes in to report an assault and attempted murder on her. She also reveals herself as a vampire and forces Burke to work on her case under the radar so that she can find her assaulter and take revenge. Through a combination of regular police work and the vampire's own abilities, they track down the killer, leading to a final confrontation between killer and victim. Alright, so Villanelle was shot in 2011 on a budget of $3,600, mostly around the location of Block Island, Rhode Island.
Yeah, I recognize that.
I've been to Block Island several times. Knew right away where it was.
Yeah.
Which I thought is kind of cool, because then you can almost relate to it.
Yeah, close to
It becomes
home,
like a real place.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, I've been there, and you start to notice, like, the rock pier and, like, stuff like that, and that was kind of cool. And you can't fake that look, like that New England coastal look.
No, and I like the way it was shot. I'm assuming they were on a boat moving,
Right.
slowly shooting the coast, which is a hell of a lot better when somebody uses, like, stock footage.
Yeah,
like, it looked
that's
really
what I'm saying.
good.
It looks really good,
Yeah.
and it feels like New England. Which, if you live in New England, you know what that looks like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just there's something about this area that has a very specific, distinct feel. So I think it would almost be impossible to fake it.
Yeah.
The movie has just now received streaming distribution through Full Moon's Wizard label, and it has a 6.6 on IMDb based on 17 ratings. So, first of all, talk about the look of the film. I think it actually looks great.
It looks really
Right.
good.
So,
Yeah.
we've talked about other movies, shot on video type stuff, digital video type stuff, where I always complain because they put these fucking filters on it. You know, you heard me, like in Fields of the Dead, I complained about it incessantly.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
because
terrible.
it almost seems like they just didn't know how to light the goddamn thing. Like, whoever was making this thing just shot it and then put a filter on it and called it a day.
Yeah.
This is like shot, like it feels dreary, but it feels like that actually is that's actually how it's lit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like this winter New England, like Rhode Island. If you live in this area, you get this dreariness to it, this grayness to it. It actually feels legitimate to me.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good. Really happy with that.
It gives it a feeling, too.
Well, there's a mood, sure. There's it's like dread. There's this feeling of dread over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it's death. You know, everything's dead right now. And if you ever come to New England in the winter and go to the coast,
It's dead.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. You come here in August and it's cars and people everywhere. You come here in, January and there's nobody. It's really weird. It's almost eerie if you see it. Let's talk about the acting. I actually thought the acting was pretty good too. Overall,
not bad.
I have passable, meaning that when you come into a movie like this, you come into a low $3,000 budget movie. I expect the acting to be atrocious.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
I thought it was going to be right off the bat, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't, right? And I always say, like, acting can make or break a movie, especially a low-budget movie. Because if the acting's bad, then it's like, ugh, it could pull you right out of it, especially when they're going for serious.
Yeah. There's two things in a low-budget film that really throw it off. When the acting's bad and when the cuts are bad. Because when the cuts or the cut scenes are bad, and it all just flows together, and it works out really good.
Right, when you feel like they are missing stuff, when you feel like, I don't know, you're right. You know, if it feels rushed in some way, but this doesn't feel rushed to me. It feels like they actually took their time. I could be completely wrong about that. I don't know how long it took to make the movie, but it feels like they took the time to write a story and then tell that story in the best way possible. At no point do I feel like they're being pretentious. So meaning that you don't just get random shots of symbolic shit to try to, you know, emote some sort of
just
feeling.
To fill stuff in.
Just to fill shit in. There's not random cutaways to stuff that don't make sense.
I hate that.
Right, and sometimes that can work, but it needs to make sense. Here, 75 minutes, they're telling a story. Beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think the vampire twist works really well.
Yeah, because this is very similar to like a film noir, like a crime.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, like cop running around trying to solve a crime, and then you like throw a vampire in there.
I know, and I like that. So you have you have this very basic. You take a detective hunting serial killer type story.
Yep.
But then you throw this twist in of a vampire. But rather than have the vampire be the killer or you know what I mean, the vampire is the victim. Which I thought was really cool. Right, which you never see that. Like, almost always, like, you would have thought that, oh, well, he's going to be a vampire and he's going to be the one that turns her, or he's a vampire all along and she just happens to survive the attack, but no, she is a vampire at the beginning, which I just think is a great change to to what you would typically see in this movie. Like, that's the twist, you know,
yeah, because, I mean, even when, I don't want to give it away, but what happens to her, I'm like, all right, well, that's a little weird, but then they explain how it happens.
Right, I mean, we could talk a little bit about what happens to her. She's assaulted. She's raped.
Yeah.
And she's left for dead.
Yeah, which when I first saw that, I'm like, all right, well, that's weird, because how does that happen to a vampire?
Right.
But they explain it really well.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because
I like the way they did it.
They explain it really well. It's almost as if they knew. So they knew, okay, we're making a low-budget horror movie. And I could be wrong. I'm saying that from watching this movie, you feel like they were thinking about who's going to be watching this movie. And horror fans, who are probably the main audience for this movie, who are going to be watching, and you're talking about hardcore horror fans, because you're talking about low-budget horror, are going to be asking those questions. All right, so she's sleeping. A guy comes in and rapes her and cuts her throat. She's a vampire. You're telling me that she never woke up, that she, you know, like, all these little things, and they address all of them.
Yeah,
It's like, well, when she's sleeping, she's comatose.
Yep.
She doesn't wake up. She's basically a bear, you know, like, feeds a couple times a year, and when she sleeps, she sleeps.
She's out.
Immediately addressed.
Yep.
You're like, great. So, and because horror fans can be very like, oh, especially with vampires.
And what I liked about it was explained by her.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he went and found a book and read up on it.
No, she tells him
She tells him flat out, which
it's exposition that works. It actually works pretty well. And it doesn't feel like exposition at the time because they make it make sense because he's flat out, like, wondering, you know, like, well, how did this happen? You know, like, you clearly could have just killed this guy, so why didn't you, you know? And they also have to address why she can't find him. Because she's a vampire, and it's a big plot thing is that she can sniff out people by their scent.
Yeah.
You know, like, she says to him, like, I can smell you because you block it with whiskey or whatever, you know? And they have to address that, and she's like, well, he masks his scent. So as a viewer, you're just like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, like, as long as you address it, that's good, because there's so many rules in vampire-type movies that we've seen so many of these movies that you're gonna ask all these questions. So they set up their own sort of rules, and they stick to them. That's good. I want to commend them, too, on the assault, because if you go on to So we watch this on Full Moon Streaming, and if you go into the sites, they have or the movie's little site. Each one of them has their own page. And all the still photos are it looks like torture porn. It's
I didn't see that.
It's like a woman, her ass in black panties, and it's like a woman, covered in blood or so. You know what I mean? It's like all these shots of one woman looking like she's just being raped and murdered. So if you look at those still shots, you automatically form in your head what this movie is, which is, it's basically torture porn. It's about a serial killer who, keeps women, and it's just going to sit there and focus on the assaults. Sexualizing violence.
Yeah.
They don't do that at all.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean?
I didn't see that, but no, it's not even like that at all.
During the assault scene, I should say, they have this track. It's a pan or tracking. I don't remember which one. Where it's going along the flowers, but the actual assault itself is almost out of focus, so you can't see what's actually happening. You're actually looking at the decor in her room, and you just know something's happening. And then it basically cuts to her with her throat's been cut, and there's blood everywhere. And it's just her underwear on the bed, and she picks it up. So she knows what's happened only because of the evidence he left behind.
I love that when she steps off the bed, and she steps into that pool of blood. Mm-hmm. God, that was such a good effect. I mean, basically all they did was stick in the blood or whatever.
Yeah, it looks great.
Dump it on the floor because when she, you just see it come between her toes, and it's...
And it's cool, it's cool because at this point, you don't know that she's actually a vampire.
No.
So you're watching it, and you're thinking in your head, and I went into this movie the first time I watched it blind, so I had no idea there was a vampire twist. So, I mean, you're watching it, and you're thinking to yourself, how the fuck did she survive that? Because there's blood everywhere. He wrote a poem on a mirror with her blood. She's
got this big hole in her throat.
Yeah, there's blood all over the wall. So, but I just really like the way that they did the assault, because they chose not to show the assault, but you knew everything that happened. When she wakes up, you knew that she was raped, and you knew that he tried to kill her. You didn't see anything.
No.
You really did. I mean,
you just knew.
Yeah. So, I gotta commend them for that. Most people would indulge. They'd go in there and show the assault or show her throat getting cut. They'd show something. And they chose to really show very little. And it works really well. I don't know if you caught this or not, but did you get her reasoning, the main reason that she wants to get this guy? Did you happen to pick up on what that is? And
no.
I didn't the first time. I don't know why I missed it, but it's not because he raped her. It's not because he tried to kill her. Seems like she could care less about any of that. It's because her only time to enjoy the daylight is when she sleeps. So because of what happened, when she goes to bed, all she can see is him. So he completely fucking took away the one thing she had, which was her dreams. And he's invaded. So you know how they have those dream sequences?
Yeah.
With that dude with the flaming face or whatever?
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's her dreams being invaded by this guy. The primary reason she wants to kill this guy is because now when she goes to sleep, she can't dream about daylight anymore.
I don't blame her.
And isn't that kind of awesome, though? Like a vampire being like, all I want is daylight.
Yeah.
You took that away from me, so now I want you dead. It's weird. It's almost like if he had just done what he did, maybe she would have been like, well, he did what he did. It's not, that big of a deal. But because of that one thing, that really is what, her driving force. Thought that was clever, too.
Yeah.
What'd
you think of the actual, the killer?
I have it written down here.
He was, he played the part well.
Yeah.
And he looked like serial... if I picture that in my head, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, you're gonna picture that guy.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah, and I have down here that they do a relatively good job of... So they create this sort of psychosis around him. So, when you see a serial killer movie, they have, a thing that they do, or it's a type of woman, or for him it's I guess it's brunettes, and he has this obsession with the Villanelles, which is it's a poetry, right? Yep. So I think they do a pretty good job of just building that up as part of how he kills and just leaving it at that. But it is very typical serial killer. Like when you see his house, every serial killer movie has the dude's house, and he's always got writing all over the walls, and he's always living in filth, and he's always got
newspaper articles everywhere.
Which Alfred, I said it's almost better because the story's not about this guy, so I understand they need to kind of let you know who he is really quickly
Yeah, just touch on it.
Right, so showing you that stuff kind of tells you this dude's crazy, he's a serial killer, and this is what he does. But it is very typical of what you would see in this type of movie. We don't want to spoil the ending here, but what did you think about the ending without actually spoiling it?
No, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked.
I was like actually really happy with the ending.
Yeah, it didn't go exactly how I thought it was
No,
gonna
it
go,
didn't, but I kind of liked that.
But I liked the way it worked out. Yeah.
I kind of like how it you think it's going to kind of happen one way.
Like, you're so used to seeing it happen one way
yeah.
that you think, all right, well, this is what's going to happen.
Not what happens at all.
It happens in every other movie.
Right.
It's not how it happens at all.
And when the scene plays out and, you know, they have a confrontation, I wish it could go on longer. Because the way it plays out, I loved it. I thought it was great. And it works really, really well. So, wasn't disappointed by the ending. I was really, really happy with the ending. So that's good. I have one gripe with the movie that I do want to mention. And it's the wipes, which is the transitions, where they do that thing with, like, the red leaf. Did you even notice that?
Yeah, no, it didn't bother me at all.
I don't know why it bothered me. It was like...
It's kind of like flutters down the screen.
yeah. I was like, I don't know why they didn't just do regular cuts or... I mean, I guess wipes, but... That's such a minor thing, you know? That was just... Yeah,
no, I thought it fit with her, because she always had that... I think that was the design on the umbrella.
It was, and I got that, and maybe maybe those wipes happen at specific times, and I'm just not picking... Because they're not through the whole movie, so maybe it has something to do with the dreams, and I just... Yeah. Now, if I went back and maybe I'd pick up on that. Overall, I think Villanelle is a surprisingly, and I say surprisingly because I didn't go in expecting very much from the press I saw on the site. Now, I didn't read reviews, I didn't watch trailers, all I did was saw the still photos. Going from those, I was expecting something completely different. I was actually really, really happy with what I got.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. I hit play.
You watched it blind, right?
I watched it blind and went right into it.
It was good though, right?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I really, really liked this movie. Yeah. I couldn't believe how much I liked this movie.
Yeah, I would recommend it right now. I mean, I don't know if DVD's available.
No, you can okay, so here's how it works. You can find the site at villanellemovie.com. That's VILANELLE movie.com. And you can watch it streaming on fullmoonstreaming.com. If you don't have Full Moon Streaming, you can go on and basically sign up for Full Moon Streaming by voting for one of these movies through Wizard, right? So you go on and you click subscribe. You go to Villanelle's little page, click subscribe, and then you pay for 3 months, whatever, and then you get a vote for that movie. Once the movie hits 50 votes, it goes into the regular distribution through Full Moon. So if they get 50 votes, then they get DVD distribution. The director gets a cash advance, plus he'll see a certain percentage of sales. Like, I don't know if it's 50-50 maybe at that point
I think that's what it says
DVD sales. Yeah. Right now they're leading, actually, but they only have like 15. But I've already said I've seen all of them up to this point. There's one coming out today called Meat Eaters, which is about a giant dinosaur.
Oh, yeah, I saw it on
My guess is Villanelle's still going to be better than that. And then the following week, they're coming out with PMS Cop, which may be PMS Cop, which is about a cop. Hence the PMS.
So, basically, this is going to keep going and winning.
It should. I mean, I would love to see them get distribution, and I'm interested to see what these guys do in the future, because, like I said, I was surprised. $3,600 budget according to IMDb. That's nothing.
Yeah.
$3,600. I couldn't do this with $3,600.
You go to Full Moon Direct.
Right.
FullMoonDirect.com. It's going to cost you, what, $6.99 for a month?
Yeah, but you got to do the 3 month if you want to vote. It's $18.
All right, so $18. You get 3 months, and you get to see this.
And if the movie that you vote for gets distribution, you get a free DVD copy.
There you go. What else could you ask for?
I know. I recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Me too.
Yeah. Second viewing was even better than the first. So I would recommend you watch it again, then you actually might like it better, kind of knowing what's already coming, because you're going to start to pick up on other things in there. So, highly recommend it.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel through iTunes or Stitcher Smart Radio. And as always, you can find us on the web at midnighttriplefeature.blogspot.com, on Twitter at MTFeature, and on Facebook.